The legendary boxing heavyweight George Foreman has passed away, aged 76, his family have announced. Here's talkSPORT's Tom Clayton looking back on his life.
George Foreman was born on the 10th of January 1949 in the town of Marshall, Texas. A self-admitted troubled youth, Foreman started his working life as a carpenter and bricklayer before switching his full focus to boxing. In 1968, he qualified for the Olympics in Mexico City, eventually taking gold from the Soviet Union's Jonas Sapuis, winning in just 2 rounds. He didn't get his first professional world title shots until 1973, when he fought Joe Frazier for the WBA, WBC and ring heavyweight titles, winning by a technical knockout. He held those titles for just 1 year before the famed Rumble in the Jungle saw him lose them to Muhammad Ali. At the time, they didn't necessarily get along, but years later, Foreman admitted he and Ali became great friends.
As a matter of fact, in the 10 years that I was out of boxing, we became very close, good friends. As a matter of fact, he's that brother that I always wanted.
His comeback came as a shock in 1987, and eventually he'd be fighting for more world titles. He wasn't deterred by defeat in the battle for the ages with Evander Holyfield. In 1994, he came back and beat Michael Moorer, claiming back the IBF and WBA titles 21 years since he won his first titles. Foreman might not be known to younger generations for his boxing, but more for his cooking equipment. He signed away the rights to his name to create the George Foreman Grill, with indications he received more than $200 million in royalties by 2011, significantly more than what he'd earned for boxing. Big George leaves behind a legacy of a staggering 76 wins in 81 professional fights, 68 of those by knockout. Many consider him to be one of the greatest to ever step in the ring.
A lovely reflection there from Tom Clayton. And joining us for more tributes then is the boxing promoter Frank Warren. Frank, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's always a difficult time to join when someone has passed away, but if we first of all can get your reflections on George Foreman and what he did for boxing.
Good morning to you, Natalie and Tony. George Foreman was... he is one of the iconic names of heavyweight boxing, of all boxing. You just said what his record was. Phenomenal puncher, done it at every level, won the Olympic Games, it was in 1968, turned professional. He beat in Joe Frazier, another great fighter. A fight when he won the world title, which he destroyed him. It was like the most unbelievable 2 rounds of a fight I've seen, with the shots he was throwing, and he well and truly announced himself on the stage. And then a year later goes to the Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali, big favourite for that fight, and Ali pulled it off. I think it's only a couple of journalists felt that he'd win the fight, and they were the holy trinity of the heavyweight boxing, those 3 guys. Great fighters. You speak about one, you got to speak about the other 2. They were great times for heavyweight boxing. Fabulous fights. They didn't duck each other. They fought everybody there was to fight. And then he gave it all up. Yeah. And then 10 years, unbelievably 10 years later, came back and won the world title. He's the oldest guy to win a world title and hold it. And I brought him over on his comeback. I brought him over to the UK in 1990. He had one of those comeback fights at London Arena. And the George Foreman that I met when I was much younger, who was quite surly, didn't speak too much. It was a massive change around. You couldn't keep him quiet. He was so convivial to everybody. He was a really nice man, and everybody was fussing and fawning over him. Just a totally different guy, the second coming. And in between that time, he'd become a minister, he'd become a man of God, and he practiced what he preached. And I remember another occasion, he came over and we hosted him, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, and there was no secret that Joe Frazier did not like being in the company of Muhammad Ali. And he was sort of the gel and the glue that held them together, and he was really fussing over Muhammad, who at that stage was suffering at the onset of Parkinson's, and you could see him. There was genuine love and affection for him, the way he was looking after him, in every way he could. And he was just a great man. He was a great man. He was a great fighter. He's taken part in not just boxing matches, iconic moments of world sport. Of the 20th century. He was an amazing man.
Frank, I mean, it's incredible because if we go back in the years gone by, is that, you know, boxers, the really big ones were 6'3", they could weigh 14 stone, and now you've got someone like yourself who's got Tyson Fury, and there's AJ and others that are like 6'5", 6'7", and 18 stone, 19 stone. These guys were mainly around, some even 13.5 stone, 14 stone heavyweights.
Well, they were. I mean, George, when he turned pro, I think his first fight was at 215 pounds. But he was a big man. He was a big man. He printed it. You know, Ali won he won his gold medal at the Olympics as a light heavyweight. You know, Henry Cooper, our old Henry. I mean, he fought around 13.5 stone, which is a cruiserweight these days. But they're bigger men now and whatever. But one thing's for sure, they were great men of their era. And if they were around today in this era, they would be great fighters. I mean, they'd give them all. They'd frighten a lot of them. I promise you.
Well, do you think that George's personality transplant happened with becoming a millionaire after his boxing and all his grills going brilliantly well, barbecue grills? I
don't think the grills happened at the time when he came at the early stage. He came out. I don't think I've got that wrong, but you know, obviously he got the company going. I think he sold it for something like $120 million. So he was quite an entrepreneur as well.
Well, he had 12 kids, Frank. Frank, he had 12 children.
That weren't bad. 12 kids, and they were all called George, including the girls. He called them all George, every one of them.
George
Which may have been a bit confusing, you know.
But they did all have nicknames that weren't George related.
I'm sure I hope they did, because you can imagine George your breakfast, you know, like Stampede. But he had, and the girls were called George as well. The girl was called George.
Brilliant.
But he was a big man, and he was a larger than life character. And you know that the rumble in the jungle. It took two people to make that fight, and Ali was phenomenal that night. But George was there, and he's the one. Also made it happen and made it such a moment in sport.
It's one of the most remarkable fights ever. I mean, Frank's been in boxing all his life, but I can remember as a kid now, and you know, Frank, that fight, because like you said, no one thought actually Ali would come out of that ring alive when he fought George.
Well, you look at what he done with Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
Joe Frazier was a great fighter, and look what he did with him. He was a devastating puncher, but Ali was a smart guy, and he just basically George punched himself out. That's what happened. Ali could take a shot, and he tucked up. His legs had gone at that time. You know, all that rope-a-dope thing. Most of the reason. The rope-a-dope, when he's lying on the ropes and taking shots on his arms and tucking up, the main reason he did that because his legs had gone. You know, he wasn't as mobile he was, but George basically punched himself out, and suddenly Ali spotted that moment in time and unloaded and knocked him over. It was unbelievable, and I see that in a cinema. I remember, because in those days, to watch a fight, you went to you go into the West End, Leicester Square, and it was quite expensive. I think it was like 20 quid, which is a lot of money back then to go and watch the fight. I mean, pay-per-views today, the cost of pay-per-view, the whole family and your mates can all come round and watch it on one TV. Back then, it was one seat, and you sat there till 4 or 5 in the morning, you know.
But it was one of those iconic moments you had to witness, and that's pretty special to have done that.
And that fight was put together. Don King was involved, and a guy called Hank Schwartz, who was in America, was involved. But the people who put the money up and produced it all was English actor David Hemmings, and John Daly, who was a producer. He made Platoon and lots of great movies. And his dad and uncles, they were boxing trainers.
Oh,
so that was the connection to boxing. Yeah,
what a great story.
But Don does a great job. Don done a great job. I mean, he got the guys to sign and everything, but they were the people who actually made it happen with him.
Well, listen, Frank, we do appreciate you joining us. I know it's not sometimes the easiest, but I tell you what, you've made us smile with your stories about George, so thank you.
Yeah,
brilliant. It makes Frank. You smile when it's sad what's happened.
Yeah.
Condolences to the family, but he makes you smile when you think of him, what he did.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being with us to share those stories with us. Thank you.
Thank you again.
God bless him.
Indeed, that was Frank Warren there.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.